Yay, yay. Grand Rising. Let's get it. Hey, how you doing? Makai, what's good? I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Make sure you subscribe. Subscribe. Mm. Yay, yay. What's good? What's good? I'm here. I'm here. What's going on? What's going on? Happy Monday. Marathon Mondays. Yes, Punkaz, tell your peoples to come on. Tell your peoples to come on. I got my coffee. I'm ready to go. How y'all doing? Jump in the chat, y'all. Let me know y'all here so we can get this thing rolling. What? Brother. He said $120. Punkaz, let me see what you could do first. Let me see. Punkaz. And I had a crazy experience with these dreads and the blower yesterday doing the yard. It was something else. I'm gonna tell you that. What's good, y'all? Grand Rising. Happy Monday. I'm amped up. I'm ready to get it in. Let me turn this down a little bit. Yo. Mic checker. Today we will be talking about co-parenting. It can work. It can work. Yes, indeed. What happened? We got some late risers. Hit y'all with the dopest one love real quick. We got some late risers. Jump in the chat. Hit them with the one love. So, again, we are talking today about co-parenting. Alright? There are 3 types of co-parenting. Okay, we got parallel parenting, which is the most common, occurring more than 50% of the time. Conflicted co-parenting and cooperative co-parenting, both of which occur about 25% of the time. All right, we're going to start with parallel co-parenting. Parallel parenting is a method where each parent has their own independent parenting style and rules when the children are with them. Everything is separate, meaning the parents do not attend the same meetings, appointments, or school functions. Communication is often limited and mostly done in writing. All right, so parallel parenting. This is the parenting style. Grand Rising, Keish. Grand Rising, loved one. This is the parenting style that I think I grew up with. I mean, I'm gonna have to, when we go through all three, I'm gonna figure it out. Yeah, I believe like this is probably the style my parents used. Grand Rising, Grand Rising. Hey, Queen Dopest. The Real. Make sure I go check out The Real with Rainy on YouTube. Um, but again, for those of y'all just coming in, we are talking about co-parenting. A lot of which I know in my family we deal with. Um, I I know a lot of single moms out there, so I'm pretty sure co-parenting is in your program. But there are three types. We're going to go over them again. Parallel parenting, which is the most common. Conflicted co-parenting and cooperative co-parenting. Parallel is where we're going to start. Parallel parenting is a method where each parent has their own independent styles. Okay, Grand Rising, Danny. Now, uh, I want to know you guys' opinion on co-parenting. Um, do you interact with your, significant or former spouse or mate in regards to dealing with the children? Or my first marriage, let's go through all three of them first, okay? Because I want to see which one applies to me. Grand Rising, Kisa. Oop, oop, oop. Let's go to this one. Cooperative parenting is the style used by families in which conflict is low and parents can effectively communicate about their child. If you determine that your level of conflict is low, you and the other parent will probably be able to talk about your child's needs in a healthy way. And finally, in a conflicted co-parenting relationship, there is a high degree of conflict and little to no cooperation between parents. In these relationships, one or both parents utilize these situations to disparage the other parent and attempt to align the child off and at the expense of the best interests of their child. Whoa. Look, hey, Grand Rising on OneLoveFan.com. I'm going to go ahead and keep it a buck. We're going to keep it a buck. I definitely was in this one. Okay? I think um my first wife and myself were products of conflicted co-parenting. My mom and dad had very little communication when it came to the upbringing of their child. They had very little. They had very little. Very little. Only time my ex-wife and I discussed the children were primarily when they got in trouble. Every once in a while we would discuss if they had sporting events and stuff like that. But for the most part, it wasn't until things came to a head where I would hear from her in regards to the children. That's how my mom and dad were. And from what I know of her upbringing, I believe that's how her parents were. So I think that was kind of like a a cycle. You know what I mean? Like that's how we were parented. I very vaguely remember my father having any say so in my upbringing. I mean, he was around. I didn't see him on a regular basis, but I don't necessarily remember that. There are there are a lot of styles when it comes to parenting. Um, you know, some people have their own rules at their own house. You know, when you over here, this what you gonna do. I don't care what you do when you're at your mama house. I don't care what you do when you're at your daddy house. I mean, what's you guys' experience? I want to get some input on this because I just a lot of single moms in here or mothers that are in here. I see y'all in here that co-parent. So I want to know you guys' opinions because I believe it can work. I really do believe that co-parenting. Cause I had some other questions too. Once y'all jump in the comments and let me know. Where's my moderators at? Let me get this guy out of here. Hold on, y'all. Uh-oh, we done got somebody put on timeout. He gonna have to get his act together, okay? He in the chat cutting up, ain't he? Where Kiki at? But anyway, man, he going crazy. He was in here before any of y'all. He been blowing the chat up. He been blowing the chat up. No, real talk though, okay. I really do want to know some of y'all experiences because I have heard there's a couple of y'all in here. I've heard y'all have disagreement with parenting styles and you know how your former mate is raising the kids. Then he said good morning on Friday. Good Friday. I mean, I'm fortunate my youngest two children, they're being raised with both the parents in the household. I do see a great a significant difference, you know what I mean, and being able to communicate with the other parent on a regular basis as opposed to, you know, hitting up parent on the phone and whatnot and discussing things and only getting maybe the child side of the story or you know the teacher side of the story as opposed, you know, being in the house and getting it all at once. I know my oldest two kids. Hey, Grand Rising Carolyn. I know my oldest two children. They they played that game. You know what I mean? To some degree, I think they still do. You know, one minute they happy with dad and they talking about mom. One minute they talking about mom and happy with dad. And normally it's for their own benefit. You know what I mean? So I trust me, I have experienced that part of the co-parenting. Um, we're gonna talk about this real quick. Let's talk about conflict co-parenting, okay? It's a conflicted co-parenting relationship. This is what me and my ex-wife had for sure. I 100% they still do. This is what I dealt with. I mean, I'm gonna just keep it 100. My ex-wife, I didn't find this out till a lot later though, until my kids were older. Um, I did not find out that their mom was saying disparaging things about me. I tried wholeheartedly they play their parents against one another. Yeah, that's a fact. I tried wholeheartedly not to ever say anything disparaging about their mom, even to this day. You know, no matter. Yes, yeah, I get upset at some of the things I hear. Um, however, um, you know, in the grand scheme of things, I want them to have a good vision of their mom. That's important. You know what I mean? And most of the time, and this is crazy. I found this out about women, and because my mom, a lot of times she saw my dad in me, whether it be resemblance or characteristics. She saw a lot of my father in me. So there was always that um, angst and animosity that she had towards my dad, that sometimes I feel like she saw some of those actions and characteristics in me, and it caused problems. You know what I mean? I think sometimes with parents, uh, they do see some of their mate in their child, and you know, it's upsetting. It definitely is upsetting to not be with the person, especially if you guys decided to have children and raise them together, and it doesn't work out like that. You know, there's a lot of heartache, and you have to overcome that heartache for the sake of the child. A lot of people, that's hard to do. For a lot of people, that's hard to do. You know what I mean? I'm just getting a text, y'all, from Queen Jazzy, from my One Love family members. This is her card. She just texted me this right now. This is her card. So y'all pray, y'all pray for Jazzy, man. She says she lucky to be alive. Whew, good golly. See, tomorrow ain't promised. You can't change yesterday. You got to make the most of right here, right now. I agree with your opinion. Yeah, people really have to, when it comes to co-parenting, you have to put your emotions to the side. Hey, Trees, sexy Trees, Dopest sexy Trees in the building. You have to put your emotions to the side for the benefit of the child. You have to. Well, we're gonna talk about real quick some do's and don'ts. Okay, co-parenting don'ts. Don't sabotage your child's relationship with their other parent. Do not make your child choose sides or burden them with trash talk about the other parent. Don't use your child to manipulate your ex, and do not immediately accuse your ex to start a fight. Man, y'all know that's true. Y'all know that's true. Like, for real. They do that. They want to be the favorite parent. You need both of them. Sometimes that may mean you got to uplift the other person, speak highly of the other parent. I ain't gonna lie, my ex-wife is one of the hardest working people I've ever known. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. She's definitely a strong woman. Her parenting style is a lot different than mine. Um, I have not um, been a parent that uh, has used corporal punishment. If y'all don't know what corporal punishment is, that means spanking and whoopings and like that. That has not been me. I think out of all four of my kids, only two of them have ever got a spanking. To be honest with you, and I think that's my oldest Ashanti and my youngest son Mo. I Y'all see Sai all the time. Sai ain't never got a whooping from me. Both of them got spankings from my oldest two. Both got spankings from their mom because she believes in corporal punishment. I just, hey, what's up, Sauce? Gavinci the God. I see you, little bro. I never was one for spankings. It's not my style. I don't talk down about anybody that chooses to use spanking as a form of discipline. But I'm gonna be honest. When you have one parent that spanks and another parent that doesn't in a co-parenting situation, it kind of just like naturally leads the child to kind of play favoritism towards the parent that doesn't spank. I'm gonna just be real. So that's kind of another place where co-parenting really needs to come into play, because if you guys have different levels of discipline, it kind of throws the kids off. You know what I mean? They don't know the difference between all these different types of co-parenting. All they know is I go to my dad's, I might be on punishment, I might not be able to watch TV or use my devices or whatnot. But my mom, on the other hand, if I mess up, I'm going to get that spanking. I'm going to be real. My oldest two got both. My oldest two grew up in a nice home. They always had access to the dad. There was a period, I believe, when my kids were in the pre-teens and getting into their teens, where there was a complete disconnect between their mother and I. And it profoundly, I feel like, affected the kids. Profoundly. Let me see. We're usually the disciplinary. The child is usually with the mom most of the time. That's true. In co-parenting situations, the child is with the mom most of the time. And I'm gonna be honest with you. That was the case for me. My oldest two children lived with their mom primarily, even though my son did live here with me from time to time. And like you said, she was a disciplinarian. And I always was like, man, I'm not finna put them on punishment or whip them, and I'm only gonna have them for a few days over the weekend. Let me see what Royalty said. My co-parenting relationship got better over time. It was definitely a challenge in the beginning. Right. And you're fortunate in the regards that your son's father, which I know, takes active role in your son's life. He's active in his son's life, regardless of the fact that you guys aren't together. So that's kudos to both of y'all for that. I think one of the most important factors so far that I've seen on any of these on this list is this one right here. In these relationships, one or both parents utilize the situations to disparage the other person to attempt to align the child at the expense of. That is dangerous right there, y'all. That is dangerous. Yeah, and that's what that. Yeah, that's what that basically was saying. That is dangerous. I'm gonna keep it all the way 100 and a buck with y'all. That's exactly, like I said, I found out later as my kids became adults that's what took place. It was a lot of stuff being said about Pops on one side, and I had no idea. So I remember my son, this is real spill right here. My son became 18. We was walking home from picking up the kids up the street right here, and we was just talking. He He said, I love you, Dad. I said, I love you too, son. And he looked at me and he said, nah, I really love you. And it wasn't until he had kids, you know what I mean, that he understood. You know what I mean? It wasn't until he had kids that he kind of understood. But sometimes that's too late. For those of you that are co-parenting, it is profoundly important that you try to uplift the other parent. Obviously, unless the parent is just living foul and reckless and is not a good example for the kid. But if your child loves their parents, mother or father, and you have a opportunity to uplift or talk down about, use the opportunity to uplift the other parent, because they may be trying their hardest. They may have limited time, because if you are the primary custodial parent, then you have more time to cultivate the relationship. You know, that goes back to what Carolyn was saying. If the mother has the child, what is that, 5 days out the week, so we talking about pretty much like 80% of the time, right? Roughly 80% of the time. Then the other parent only has 20% of the time to make up all those areas. Okay? So they could use that 20% to just look like the sweetest thing on earth. Sometimes the father seems like he may be the best thing ever, because he only has that 20%. He don't have to deal with the trouble at school, or it could be the mom, because there's some single fathers out there. Salute to y'all too. It could be he have to deal with the not cleaning up or she has to deal with the not cleaning up of the room, the devices and the internet, and you know, they got to deal with that 80% of the time. And then when they go to the other parent's house, they got 20% of the time that's normally just fun, going out to Disneyland, amusement parks, or hanging out. So it's not the crystal clear view that the child is getting of the parental dynamic. You understand what I'm saying? Let me see what the chat's saying. I was an OT driver. I gave my ex-husband custody of the children. He played the games that females do. We do what's best for our children now. I could never respect him again for using the children to control you. What?
Oh my God! Wow!
Man, spam some hearts in the chat if y'all could feel Carolyn on that one. Because I will never, ever, 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 ever deal with my ex. I just no way. The kids is grown, and it's unfortunate. But I just don't foresee. I don't foresee myself and her having any type of relationship, based on the fact that the way I was portrayed. My mom never bashed my dad, and she had every right to. Fortunate thing with you1lovefam.com is your dad, to some degree. I mean, and I know when you're an adult, maybe it doesn't make up for what happened when you were a child, but sometimes acknowledgement is like the best thing. Because I know when my dad acknowledged his failures as a father, it made me feel better that he was honest with me, you know? I have very little respect for some men. I'm going to tell y'all this. A lot of people be like, man, Dopest is at home all the time. Okay? I don't like to go into my business all on the internet and this, that, and the other. But when I decided to have children, I had my first two rather young. But when I remarried and decided to have children again, The first conversation that was had was, I'm gonna be there 24/7. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because I missed that with my first two children. I think when me and their mom got divorced, the oldest was 5, and the youngest was around 2. And it was hard on me. It was very, very hard. So when we decided to have children, later on, with my current wife, that was one of the first things I said. I do not miss open houses. I do not miss back to school nights. I do not miss parent teacher conferences. I've coached my son's soccer team. You know, I picked them up from school every day, as y'all see. A lot of y'all see. Those things are very important to me. They're just very important to me. And I know they're very important to my children. And later on in life, I think it'll be even more so. And, you know, the fact that my dad, when they hear stories of other people's dads and parenting and all that, my kids are going to be like, man, my dad was there. That's important to me because I see the effect it had on my youngest two. See, this is great for me because I've got to see the difference from leaving out of the home with children when they're little, as opposed to being able to be there for your kids all the way through, you know, their teens. I never talk down on my son's dad because I want him to have his own opinion on him, so when he gets older, he can have a real relationship with him. Right. Facts. And that's awesome because I know, because you're my friend and my fam, that, you know, I know you've had conflict with him, and it's very important that you vent to someone else other than your child. Right? Don't vent to a child that has no concept of what you're talking about. You know what I mean? If at all costs, you know, try to refrain from, you know, permanently damaging that relationship between a child and his parent. I do all of that with my grandkids because I miss so much working, and that's awesome too. And I'm fortunate that one of my grandkids, I get to see every day and kind of do the same thing, pick him up from school and see him after school and stuff. How even that child, his parents, you know, my oldest daughter, she's in that type of parenting situation, conflicted co-parenting. You know what I mean? Conflicted. The communication is completely off. And that's really what it is, right? Communication, right? But when you guys couldn't communicate as a couple, you know what I mean? It makes it hard to communicate even in regards to dealing with your child. You guys couldn't even communicate on grown shit. And now you want to communicate when in regards to your child when your communication was never there to begin with. I do more threatening than anything, but I will take anything else as a form of punishment. Oh yeah, you'll take all his devices. I'm gonna keep it real. I mean, I've given this advice to people and it's worked. It worked for me. You know what I mean? My son Mo, he wasn't listening to nothing. Absolutely nothing. The disrespect was at an all time. The talking back, I mean, you name it. About the only thing he wasn't, he may have went through a little, maybe couple months where he might have been cutting up at school, but he never really was the type to cut up at school. But at home, oh, it was at all time high until we took away all his devices. Only took a week. Hey, look, the discipline has to be reinforced by both parents, even if different households. That's something that I failed at with my oldest two. Because from a dad's point of view, you like, man, I only get to see him for 3 days. I don't want to lock my son in a room and he be on punishment for the 3 days that he's with me. But you're right. And I do acknowledge that mistake right there as a parent in my previous relationship. I absolutely do. If you do not follow through with the discipline, hey Kiki, if you do not follow through with the discipline, then the child is going to resort back to the same behaviors. I promise. Because we used to do it with Mo, with Chase. As soon as Mo get in trouble, you're on punishment. Give me all your phones. And then, but after a day, he was good too. He'll play good for a day, clean his room. You go in this room, he actually reading a book. He laying in the bed reading a book. And then he'll come back that second day like, Dad, can I get my controller back? And you're like, all right, man, I seen you trying. And right back to the same behavior. It wasn't until we stood on that, and it wasn't a long punishment. It was a week. It took a week. 1 week. Taking all this stuff, us both parents being on the same accord, and it dramatically changes behavior. I'm just being honest. Night and day. It was, okay, Mom, yes, Dad. Taking the trash out. Taking his showers. Making sure his homework is done. Like, he just started doing it. But you gotta do it before they get too old. Because once they kind of get set in their ways and being able to manipulate and so forth, then, it gets hard to reel them back in. Right? But, I mean, just look at these don'ts. Like that number 1, it's hard. That number 1 is hard. Don't sabotage your child's relationship with their other parent. The other parent got to be doing the work, though. You know what I mean? You can't be lying to your kid either. I refuse just not to make a comment and just always reinforce to the child that I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there for you. Because, what do y'all think about co-parenting when both mates, I know I done jumped off on another thing, but what do you think about co-parenting when both mates have a new significant other? Is it mandatory that they get along? Because I know my ex-wife and my wife, I mean, she ain't here, but I don't think they've ever spoken. I don't think that they've ever spoken. And, she's been around since they was kids, teenagers and preteen. I don't think my ex-wife and my wife, current wife, have ever even been in the same room together. Much less talk. But both of my oldest children, I want to know who around. That's true. No, that's 100%. But she never, am I tripping, One Love? We've said hello and shook hands once. How long you been in their life? 14, 15? Hold on. Her son lived, my son, but our son lived with us, and you've only spoken to her and shook hands once. That's crazy. I thought about that the other day. It's like, I don't remember y'all ever talking. That's wild. So do you think that you could be around, okay, so say you remarried and they remarried, so you could y'all go to a cookout or go to a thing together? I think it depends on the breakup. Because if it was any kind of abuse or like ill will, I think it's kind of hard, man. I mean, we just, I don't have all the answers. I'm in here picking y'all brains too. I mean, that's kind of hard, right? I gotta turn my hat back around for this. Like, what? She has a lot to say about me, and you know what? That is true. They will respect my mate. They also know their dad and their father. All parties have to be mature enough to work for it to work, because adults are still childish. Yeah, because there's hurt. Co-parenting only exists because y'all didn't work out, right? Why didn't y'all work out? You got to examine that. And then, like I said, after you examine that, you have to put your emotions to the side for the betterment of the child. It didn't work out, right? It didn't work. You and their relationship did not work. And it's a reason for that. It more than likely was a failure to communicate, some kind of issues dealing with honesty, which are all important in co-parenting, right? The mate being honest about how the their intentions for the children, or them being able to communicate their parenting style to you. Man, it's a lot involved with things that didn't work out in your relationship. Especially if there's cheating involved on either side. These are hard obstacles to overcome. But again, how much do you got people say all the time, I'll do anything for my kids. Because he has some female tendencies and lady hips. Oh, my Lord. Oh, my goodness. The lady hips for me. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. It's the lady hips for me. No, but this is serious. This is serious. Oh, you just said the way you phrased that, though. My goodness. Let me hit this for Kiki since she loves this so much. Oh my God.
Wow.
No, real talk. I mean, I know it's quite a few of you in here right now, like I said earlier, that are co-parenting. On whatever level, y'all all co-parenting. You guys, I think, first, people have to realize you're not together. That's not your mate. Although you should be concerned what's happening in the household. It's only to a degree. You shouldn't be picking your kids for information when they come home. Ask your kids what they did over there and things like that. But, was your dad and his girlfriend in the room a lot, and things like that. Asking little things that really has nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with your former mate's parenting style or skills, and you know what I mean. Only person I've ever gotten along with was his other baby mama, because his other hoes never wanted to, what? Lord. They was very disrespectful. Mm-hmm. You stuck with them. That's deep. You stuck with them to the death of one of you. I'm gonna be honest. I have not, in 10 years, the last 10 years, the one time I can vividly remember talking to my ex-wife, she turned around and lied on, on me. So I mean, I threw my hands up. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. It was no communication. It was no communication. Only times I ever communicated with her is when the kids got in trouble. There was no communication there, and the kids suffered from it. You know, my oldest daughter, I feel like she built up some type of complex, um, or it really damaged the relationship with her mom, even from a child, because um, like my oldest child, she had to go to counseling when I left her mom. She couldn't stand her mom for a while because she blamed her mom for her dad not being there. And I think a lot of that followed her as she got older, you know. My son was being told things about his dad that weren't true. And so he built up this other image of his dad until he got old enough to realize my dad wasn't like that. My baby girl, when she talks to me, she says, Mama, my daddy says. Co-parenting, man. I mean, you got to think in a day and age where divorce rates are, you know, for a long time, divorce rates were like 50%, 50-50. It was a 50-50 chance that a marriage would, you know, work out. I think those numbers are even significantly higher now, you know, where divorce rates are up to like 60%. So it's a lot of co-parenting going on, you know. I always love when I see a child and, you know, he now got four parents instead of two. What I mean by that, the stepdad and stepmom have taken an active role in the child's life and they all get along. My ex-wife had another child with a guy, and me and the guy was cool. Like real talk. My oldest kid's sister's father, um, man, we was cool. I mean, we didn't talk on the phone and nothing like that, but if my son had a football game, we'd be on the sideline standing together, chopping it up. Like it was, you know, I felt like it it was a healthy relationship. Um, However, I also didn't know that this man was disciplining my children in a way that I didn't see fit. It wasn't his place. Babies out of wedlock is through the roof. Yeah, that is true. That is true. Which creates a whole different dynamic of co-parenting. Was it an accident? Did it just happen? Like, you know, was it planned? Um, y'all know I have a friend that was close that's close to me. Um, and she wanted a child. She didn't want the father. So I mean, there's different dynamics. So whoever comes into that child's life, whoever she ends up being with, I'm sure is gonna take the role of the parent, the other parent. But there's a lot of different dynamics now and how people are having children. You know, in the past, you had a kid out of wedlock, your family, like in the olden days, you know, your family would ship you off to somewhere. And, you know, it used to be a whole thing when you had a child out of wedlock in the past. But it's more commonplace now. That's because nobody wants to get married anymore. A lot of people feel as soon as you get married, that's when all the rigmarole starts. That's when all the nonsense happens in a relationship when you get married. Yeah, I don't know. It's a piece of paper. Either y'all was gonna get along with or without it. Like I don't think that really makes too much of a difference, right? Not to me. It's the comments. Oh my goodness. So let's look at some effective let's look at this one again. Cooperative is a style used by families in which conflict is low and parents can effectively communicate about their child. If you determine your level of conflict is low, you and the other parent will probably be able to talk about your child's needs in a healthy way. Like, man, that's the way to go. Yeah, love is a choice. Fact. But raising your kids ain't, right? Raising your kids ain't, it ain't really a choice. It's something that you have to do. You have to raise your kids if you want a productive, upstanding citizen. If you want your child to flourish, I mean, I don't even really, to be honest, know any other way but put your personal feelings to the side. Look at your own upbringing, right? And be honest with yourself. Because my dad's style was violence. I don't never remember getting put on punishment by my dad. My dad used to use his hands. He did not, he didn't even use belts after a certain period. Like, he used his hands. And so it instilled in us that violence was the way to resolve situations. My son, and my oldest son, like, his mom would square up with him, like make him put boxing gloves on and everything. So my oldest son, when he gets angry, he 9 times out of 10 resorts to violence. You know, it, you see where this is going. I think it's important to teach children some type of conflict resolution that doesn't require violence. You know what I mean? Right. Because you got to understand, too, in co-parenting situations where the primary custodial parent has, like I said, normally 80%. Because it's 50-50, right? So, like, if y'all have joint custody, but it don't work out like that, even when you have joint custody, right? Because, most of the time, they stay with the mom 5 days out of the week, and the dad probably get them on the weekends, right? You feel what I'm saying? So, when you have that disparity in time, normally the person that get the 20%, whether it's the mom or the dad, they spend too much time wanting to be the kid's friend as opposed to a parent. You know what I mean? A lot of times, co-parenting situations, like when I divorced my wife, my first wife, we didn't stay too far apart. So I got to see the kids like almost whenever. So anytime they call, I could just hop in the car. Then she started moving further and further and further and further away. So it became more difficult to just jump in the car and go to the school if the kid was acting up and things of that nature. So it became harder. And then again, I felt like more of a friend on the weekends than a parent because I really just wanted my kids to have fun, play video games, go shopping. When, especially my son, he needed his dad. He needed his dad to to mold him, to help, cultivate his personality, his demeanor, his reactions, all those things that a man should be instilling in a boy. You know what I mean? It's tough. They start looking at you like a friend when you don't have any boundaries or anything like that. The one thing I could say that I regret is that the oldest two kids heard anything bad about their mom or their dad, right? Because again, um, because me and her don't get along, it's too much heartache and anger still lingering, I guess. That man, you guys just don't realize how profoundly it affects the children. You know? Kasai is what, 26 now? And I could still see the effects and the damage. Because even now, they going through things. And me and the mom, we still at odds. You know what I mean? The mom, my kids with her are 30 and 26. And they still hearing bad shit about their dad from their mom. You know what I mean? While I'm raising two other ones. Best I can. If you could only imagine the things that I would still do for my crusty ass. Oh, your kids, yeah. Nothing within reason I still won't do. Yeah. Y'all see my oldest two kids. Y'all see them all the time. One of them is on the app that I'm on. The other one y'all see walking my house every single day to pick her son up. She'll be here in a couple hours. You know what I mean? Me and my oldest child, we talk on the phone every day. When I didn't live in the house, and we talk on the phone every day. And then it stopped one day. It was after she was an adult. And the reason it stopped was because of her mom. Didn't she even tell your oldest son it's hard for her to look at him? Yeah, facts. Facts. Yeah, I was to blame for him when he went to prison. Even though he grew up in your house, I was to blame. Man, my son lived with me. And one time, this is a true story, y'all. When we talk about co-parenting, I'm going to wrap this up. My son lived with me, right? And I remember his mom said, she called. She said, your son needs you. I'm finna bring him over there. And he needs your discipline. He needs this. She said, I'm not coming to pick him up. I don't care what's going on. Right? And my son moved in here. It's probably the second time he lived here at this house, right? He wouldn't do nothing. He did online school. All he had to do was sign in on the computer. He wouldn't do it. He only had to take out the trash in the bathroom and in the kitchen. Wouldn't do it. And as soon as I tried to discipline him for it, he told his mom a story. And she came and snuck him out of here while I was eating dinner. Brought his uncle. They snuck him out of here. And y'all see how that worked out, right? He ended up having to learn the hard way. I never got a chance to really discipline my kids. Those two. I never really got a chance. When he lived here, I think he would prefer to get a whooping. I think he would prefer to get a whooping and get it over with and deal with the pain as opposed to having to sit down and analyze himself and 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 being on punishment and having to really sit down and think about what he's done. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna keep it real. She's paying for it more so than I am because they have a different view of her than they do of me. And they love their mom. But actually, my oldest daughter doesn't even talk to her mom anymore. It has nothing to do with me. I ain't say, girl, you ain't always Don't talk to your mama and this, that, and the other. That's a decision she made on her own. She's 30 years old and does not talk to her mom at all. At all. No phone calls, no visits. I don't even think the mom gets to see my grandson. My ex-wife, I don't think she gets to see my grandson. I'm not sure of that, but I'm almost sure. That's a tragedy. It's a tragedy. Because you know what? My ex-wife ended up marrying a dude that was my teammate on my basketball team. I considered him the homie. We wasn't really close friends, but yeah, we could have had a cool what you call it, blended families, or we could have all hung out and it wouldn't have been a problem. They created this wall, because then I got a dude like, bro, if you was somebody I knew and you end up marrying my ex-wife and I'm cool with it, like, why not us all be cool? It would have benefited the children so much, right? Instead, this is what happened. The children don't like him because he ain't my dad. You know what I mean? And they hear him talking negatively about their father, so they don't like him. And it went all bad. It went all bad, and it didn't have to. Yeah, for real. I know that's real, and it's kind of sad to think about, like, somebody that you had children with and cared for at one time wants to see you fail at relationships and at life. Have a great day. Make sure y'all go subscribe to The Real with Rini. Queen Dopest has her own YouTube channel. She does analysis of TV shows and amongst a lot of other stuff. Football season coming back. Trust me, she will be doing analysis of the Bills. So make sure y'all go check out The Real with Rini B on YouTube as well. And you guys, I just want to point this out before I leave, because we went a little bit over on time. You guys can go also support the old videos now. Shout out to YouTube for I became eligible for a new thing called not super chat, it's called super thanks. So I think on the old videos you can go give a thanks of 99 cents, $4.9. I don't know the actual prices. I do know that Queen and Miss Ebbs tested it out the other day to see how it worked. So I appreciate you guys. Give your children options. Yeah. We're gonna revisit this topic at another time. Maybe not so much co-parenting as parenting as a whole. We're gonna talk about, because that's what it really is all about, right? It's really all about the children. Because everything I'm doing at this point in my life is for the kids. My legacy, everything that I'm doing, is for the kids. Like, everything. So they can go back and look and be like, this is what my dad was about. This is what my mom was about. So, anyway, I appreciate y'all. If nobody told you they love you, you're beautiful, important. You're strong. You're a mover. You're a shaker. You have value and importance. King Dopest and the One Love family said it. As you can't change tomorrow, you can't change yesterday. Tomorrow ain't promised. We have to make the most of right here, right now. So make the most out of your day. I love y'all. It's one love and no love. And I'll see y'all. I'll be on Miko in about, give me like 15, 20 minutes. I'll be live on Miko, y'all. Okay, I love you guys. And I'll see you next time. On the city.